I've been just kind of responding to people on Audio Science Review. There's discussion thread about, what's your favorite house curve? And I've made some videos recently about target curves, 2 videos actually. And so somebody posted, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Dr. Floyd Toole responded, so he was in there. So it's a very interesting discussion. So that's kind of an honor, right? To have Dr. Toole chime in. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm just in there. There's that discussion, another one talking about like the moving mic method that we use for Magic Beans. So I've just been in there kind of clarifying, how we do things and trying my best not to promote. You know what I mean? I feel like it's bad form to go into a forum.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, I'm just saying, if somebody posts about your stuff, then that's cool, right? But if you go in there and start posting about it, it's not really cool. I mean, this is our channel. This is our podcast. We can promote it on our podcast. Sure. But if it's somebody else's, it's kind of like a thin line where I'm just there to try to answer.
You're there to educate.
So when somebody says, I don't even mention the name of my app most of the time. I'll just call it like the way we do things, or the way that this is what I do on my app. So don't be shilling. Yeah. there's a time and place to be shilling, and somebody else's forum is not the place, So I try to be respectful, just answer questions, and tell people about how things are done and talk about theory. It
was funny. I think it was GB 1963 on my last stream. He's like, it should be enough time has passed, Shauna. You should promote the disc again.
Yes.
He was like putting me on intervals.
Yes, that's a good idea.
That was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, this is right. So Reverend Slim said, "Don't let people misrepresent the product either," and I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Right. If somebody says this is how it works, I'm like, no, it's not. I think that's fair for me to go in there and correct people if they say that my app works a certain way that it doesn't. But yeah, very good discussion there, and a lot of it has to do with target curves. I did a poll to ask people, like, what do you use? Do you use just the basic default curve? Do you use the harm and target? And most people, I'd say about 50%, use either the default curve or harm and target. I have to take a look at my poll again to see how people responded, but I think it was that, and a lot of people just don't use EQ at all.
Yeah.
And
I think about what did they say? Like 60% don't use the room correction according
to what Sound
United. Yeah, that only 40% of people use the. Which I don't. That's got to be an old stat if it's from Sound United.
Right. Well, what's cool is I'm actually gonna go visit them. I'm gonna visit them this weekend.
Oh, you're going this weekend. Cool.
Yeah. Show them Magic Beans, and maybe do a video with them. So I'm going to calibrate one of their systems there. Hopefully it's their big theater
big one with the being
yeah, because I think I can help that system a lot. So hopefully one of those, and I think we have enough time to make a video with them. So I think that will be interesting.
Nice.
Oh, here's the poll here. Let's see. How do I share? Share screen. Ooh, tab. This one. There it is. So I just asked like what kind of target curve you use. So 27% use the default. 18% use the Harman target. 3% use just a target curve they found online. So not very many. 25% said they've created their own curve. And I think a lot of these people are because they're using Magic Beans. And 27% don't use any DSP correction. If I click on the comments, Magic Beans through target. This guy uses Odyssey 1. I actually got a chance to talk to the OCA, Obsessive Compulsive Audiophile, just briefly on Audio Science Review. He commented on one of my things and we talked. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Finally got to talk to him for the first time. This guy's using magic beans. This person's using magic beans. Yeah. Using curve created by them glorious magic beans, and it sounds incredible. So yeah, this is a plug right here. This is a shameless plug. But yeah, that's it.
I got somebody somewhere. I forget what it was, Facebook or YouTube, and he asked me a question, and I answered it, and then it ended up him being like, "Oh, by the way, da 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 da, True Target really works." I was like, he went into this big old explanation. You used all this microphone and toolkit and blah blah blah, and at the end of it, it's like, True Target works in quotes.
True Target works. Well, I sure hope so. After 2 years, if it doesn't work, then that's a huge waste of time.
Yeah. Well,
so in one of my recent videos, I talked about the first video on target curves was just kind of like an overview of target curves and why just the generic ones just don't work. And in the second one, it was more of a follow-up, and I talked about how we do things with magic beans versus like a Dirac calibration. So I just did a measurement with Dirac, and I let it do its correction, and then I measured it again near field, and it kind of made the response more jagged than without any EQ at all. So in a way, it made the direct response, the near field response of that speaker worse.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep telling people. So I think in my next video, I'm going to do one with Odyssey and Dirac, maybe redo it in the living room, and just show people this is why these things can possibly make your system sound worse. Right? I'm not making things up. I can just show you with a measurement.
Yeah, I've been saying YPow makes it sound really crappy. So for years.
Another discussion that's kind of ongoing with the target curve stuff is whether somebody should just use the anechoic measurements. Like if your speaker has anechoic data, spinorama data, can you just use that instead of taking any measurements? Like if you're just correcting the near field direct on axis response, why don't you just look at the spinorama and then use that? And I think that's a good starting point, but not all of our speakers have spinorama data on them, especially if you have old ones. Another thing to consider, and why I think in-room measurements are still important, actually better for room correction, is because what if you have 3 speakers, so all identical speakers, but one is behind your acoustic transparent screen?
Just one?
So you can't EQ
the center is behind there, and the left and rights are out in the room?
Okay, so you can do left and right based on anechoic data, but how about the one that's behind the screen? It's going to have some attenuation of the high frequencies. Of course, you can guess. You can take a look at measurements and of the screen and see what it's supposed to be doing, but why not just take the measurement?
Take the measurement.
You can guess, or you can take 2 minutes. You can take 30 seconds and take the measurement and see what it's actually doing. So that's another thing. Nearby reflections also affect those measurements. So if you have a perfect speaker, ideal speaker, and you put it near a wall, well, you're going to have boundary gain, and you need to account for that. Right?
Isn't that the best kind of gain?
Yes. Yeah.
You don't have to do anything, really. It's
Gym gains and boundary gains.
Gym gains.
Yeah. And then the last thing I think people should consider when it comes to taking in-room measurements of your actual speakers is that sometimes there's, manufacturing or production variation.
Oh, right. Like those Polks.
Yeah. You may have some that measure totally different from what somebody who measured it on the Clipple measured. And it could be because, could be that they changed something and didn't tell anybody.
Where the hell is Aaron?
He said he's putting together the Clipple right now.
Oh, well, he should have just had like a camera.
Yeah.
We could talk shit.
Yeah, he's probably in some shorts or something funny.
Oh yeah, it's hot over there. He was complaining about the heat and humidity.
He's probably sweating.
He's in some Daisy Dukes over there.
Daisy Dukes, his back is probably hurting. You know what I mean?
All right.
He's sweating. So probably better that he's not on right now. But yeah, production variation in speakers, right? I mean, I have a bunch of these monolith THX, right? The satellites.
Yeah, the sats. Yeah.
I have one of them that just measures differently, right? Like, pretty significant difference. So I don't know if it was an issue. I mean, these are cheap speakers, really, and so that's something to consider. Also, you may have one speaker that just measures differently. Some of these guys in the comments know, we've done calibrations for people, and you're like, dude, your right speaker. I don't know what's always the right speaker. I don't know what's your right speaker, dude. I don't know if something's blown, if your crossover's a little messed up, but it's not measuring like the others.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason. I think in-room near-field measurements are still very useful, despite having spin data for it. So anyway.
Now, if you can't catch the show, we do have an audio version at anchor.fm/daily HiFi. So make sure to go on over there if you like to listen to the show.